potential alliances, as well as a card game that is all in her favor, even though she rewinds time. What is the secret? I don't know. All I know is despair is strong right now, and I do not like that. Hi, everybody, for those who are rewatching, this is the Angry Anime Fan, although I take the despair reviewer, although I technically only review Eden Zero nowadays, sometimes more than anything else. First off, pretty adorable cover page showing Rebecca in her maid outfit, cat outfit again, as well as Homura, although hers is a little bit more modest. It is kind of cute of that all. Also, back to the Creed and Homura thing is the fact that Creed asks why Homura is here, and he apparently got separated from his team, implying that there is more than just him on this thing. Of course, Homura is saying out loud that she also was separated from things, even though she wanted to keep that for herself. As Creed asks why Homura wants to stop the All Link, Homura reveals that she cannot forgive what Shura is intended to do, taking lives of everything of robots, is because that is her friends as well. So Creed actually suggests that they should work together. Of course, Homura is not so much for that, especially after what he did before, and even though she wanted to keep that to herself. But he points out that he was only following orders from a superior officer, and he actually meant no harm. But even though, but she is an Elsie's enemy. As Creed points out, though, is the fact that Elsie is a criminal and just as dangerous as Nero. But and there's a reason we're after her. We know the reason somewhat, but I still think there is something deeper between that. However, in this moment on, they're not after Elsie, they're after Shura. Uh, and then, unfortunately, even though as Homer has always revealed someone, always tell the truth, even though she doesn't want to. Creed says that he could never lie to someone as beautiful as her, creating a pretty awkward moment between them again. Elsewhere, the android sidekicks all all have been seized with hypnosis, as well as Pino remembering that she was a mole. Elsewhere, Moscow decides to take on the channel where he sees cartoons again, and switch the channel if the fact that this is not exactly the urge, but then they actually get to see the lost game. And so the card game goes on. The rules for Lost Card is very simple. They each get 5 cards, number 1 through 5, and they set them face down. And then they pick each turn. The one who picked the highest card number wins. The one who picked the lowest loses part of their clothing until eventually their limbs. So, mm, and there's actually no plan to strategize in it, seem to be it. A fish referee is the referee, and so the game begins with the fact that as Rebecca keeps looking at the card, is the fact that there's one card that she feels like she has to focus on. The one at the bottom. Uh, so she tries to think of this in a game like fashion. She draws one card, but she gets a 1, while Lyra gets a 5, and so random. So even though it looks random, Lyra is saying something like random. Oh no, you put it exactly where I predicted, implying that she can actually see what Rebecca is going to do even before she does it. And as Homer, no, sorry, Rebecca loses clothing like they disappeared from it all, like mist. Elsewhere, though, Callum and Shiki has to start their fight. As Rebecca loses some clothing, suddenly Lyra also loses some of her own, even though it's a swimsuit underneath it all. But it seems to imply that Lyra is merely playing with the thing, that she can't somehow predict exactly what kind of card um, Rebecca is going to draw, and she only draws a lower one to play with the fact that she is losing the the clothing of it all, but until Rebecca is down to the leotard. Next time it's going to be the legs, so she uses reverse and is back to original state, or at least back to her ears. So, well, not back to the original state. She's back to her ears. So, so she tries to replace it with something else, but she still get a one, the exact same thing, even though she turned back time. As Lyra sadistically points out that as she has played this game over 100 of times and she has only lost once, and that was to the Emperor. And that is also the reason why one of her eyes is not the original color. Surprisingly, it implies that that's an artificial eye because she lost that eye when she played against Nero. Given that Nero is following the guiding dice, it may very well be that fate had guided him to win that game. But how come Lyra can predict exactly which kind of card Rebecca is going to do? Grant this is revealed that somehow this card game is related to her ether gear. It may very well be that Lyra is cheating, and it may very well be that even though Rebecca is turning back time, so to speak, she can somehow detect exactly what Rebecca is going to do, either by pure game logic, like thinking, or she can actually see through what Rebecca is going to do, even though she is going to do exactly opposite what she previously did, implying that turning back time is not the answer of winning this game. And now she's down to leotard, which means that once she loses that, she will lose her legs. So yeah, Rebecca is panicking, especially since Lyra is implying that she wants to take her legs first. So how is she going to win this? I don't know. Only a despair chapter, and I do not like that. Although the first bit with Creed and Homer was kind of humorous, ship tease moment. It would have been a true ship tease moment if it weren't for just that kind of worry I have in my mind, but that's a story for another day. So yeah, Lyra, this is a strange card game, but we do know that Lyra's ether gear is somehow related to this. The fact that clothing can disappear just like that implies that that's also part of the game. Maybe that's part of her ether gear in itself. And I think she only lost the piece of clothing just to play with the hungry eyes of everyone. So I don't really know what is going to happen next. Rebecca can only use reverse one more time, and then she will be back to her bunny ears. So she has somehow to figure out how to get the best of Lyra. But how? I have no idea. Give me a false if you have any.